Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our 222 session. Today I have none other than the beautiful Alexis Jackson with us,
Thank
and
you.
she is going to be talking with us about financial health, not only for yourself personally, but in the generations behind you. You are watching the Waiting Woman Daniel Fast and Global Seminar, where we're waiting on God for answers to prayer with women all over the world. But I believe that we need to be healthy, not just spiritually. We need to be healthy physically with our finances, emotionally, and be have shalom, which means that you have wellness in every area. Welcome, Alexis, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Miss Jade. I really appreciate you just the opportunity to be on this platform with the Waiting Women's Daniel Fast. This is amazing. I can't wait to get into it.
Awesome. Well, if you could go ahead and share a little bit about yourself, about ALS Financial, what you do, and maybe even a little bit of personal information about your family and your heart for finance.
Okay, yes, ma'am. So I am Alexis Jackson. I'm actually married right now. I am an RVP with my PFS Investments family. But I became an RVP not because I had a lot of degrees or because I was well versed in the finance world, but because I got my licenses and my company gave me a chance to show my work ethic. So that's something that I love about my company. And I met my husband because he was working at an office down the street, and we went on a company trip, met each other, realized that our goals aligned, and we literally have been around each other every day since. That was March 2019. So every day since, we've been around each other. And our passion for finances, we both have that same passion. So that's just a little bit about me.
That's so powerful. I love that you both met doing something that you're both passionate about and have a heart for. Now, what caused you to, outside of your work ethic, you mentioned, what caused you to notice the need for financial literacy and helping people in that area?
Right. So my whole life born and raised in Atlanta, and I was born and raised off of Old National Highway. So usually when you say that street name, people turn up their nose. Ooh, I know people from that area, and the area isn't perfect, but my parents were a little bit older, had more of their finances secured. So all throughout my life, going through school, seeing things that other kids didn't have, or just seeing different clothes that other kids had because their parents would buy them baby fat and the Nike and the Jordans. And here I am, had no name brand, but they called me rich girl. And I didn't quite understand what that meant until
Interesting.
I started learning, okay, their parents buy them that because their living situation isn't the best, or their parents buy them that to make up for some other things. And I felt like that was so backwards. I never understood it until I started getting into finances, how people kind of move things and how those other children saw that I had a better situation. And I started being super grateful for what my parents had taught me through their actions, not through telling me that finance and securing yourself was important, but by showing me. That's when I realized there was a need for the knowledge that I already grew up with, but also the knowledge that certain communities try to keep out of other communities. So traveling during my jobs, I saw other areas of town. They knew all of these things. They were taught these things in school. And here we are on our side of town. Nobody would get those opportunities unless they got a job in Marietta or
Right.
in Buckhead, which wasn't fair at all. So I think
Right.
that's when the burning started in me. I still didn't know what to do with it, but that's when
Right.
it started, and it just flourished in something bigger. So when I was 14, my church actually had an intern program
Right.
where businesses that were connected with the church, they would let us work with them for $4 an hour.
Mm.
So at 14, I was like, this is great. So I wanted to work at the clothing store. I wanted to work at the boutique, and we had to do an assessment to see which job we would get.
Right.
Now, unbeknownst to me, it was a bank job that they got me for. And I talked to the lady. I said, "Hey, I
Mm.
told you I wanted the boutique. I wanted to get free clothes."
Right.
14. Your mind isn't thinking
Like
about
you're
numbers.
14.
Right. I wanted to work at the boutique, and I ended up working at the bank 2 summers in a row. Capital City in West End. They're now shut down, but that was the first black bank in Atlanta.
Wow.
So seeing people like me that were professional, still on the south side of Atlanta, still in an impoverished area, but the way that they
Yeah.
gave back to the people in the community.
Mm.
We had sandwiches every Friday for the community. We had ice cream for the families in the communities, and these
I
weren't big
love
ticket.
that.
Me as well, that they weren't big ticket customers, but they were
Right.
repeat customers. So not only did I learn customer service, but I learned it's a real need for people to be educated on their finances because nobody else is doing this in our communities. So that's where
Right.
that burning started when I was 14, 15. Fast forward to 19 years old, I dropped out of school. I didn't know what I was doing with my life, working 2 shoe jobs, City Gear, DTLR. Knew that's not what I really wanted. Applied for the bank. A friend said, go ahead, apply. I was applying for smaller banks, Region, Chase, Fifth Third,
Mm.
and I kept getting no. And a
Wow.
friend said, why haven't you tried Bank of America? I said, oh, surely they wouldn't hire me. That's a big bank. They're looking for people with experience. And they hired me.
Mm.
And I was amazed because that was my first instance where I realized, okay, God is real. He hears me and he knows my vision and my path more than I do.
Right.
The second I applied, I had been praying, had got denied, had went back to so many different banks because I thought that I wasn't able to have the best. But here
Mhm.
he is, the second I applied to the best, I got accepted, no issues, no questions. And that was my first realization to be like, okay, you are where you are supposed to be.
Right.
And God knows better than you. So sit back and wait on what he has next. And I think that's how my journey in finances, my passion for finances really started.
That's so powerful. I love this story. I was interviewing someone earlier this month about her journey as a teenager as well, and how she was very similar to you in a different field and world, but she was very similar as far as her heart for other people, using her gift and her talents, her skill sets that she had learned to bless others. I love that you got a hold of that at such a young age. She was a teen mom, and so she went back and helped other teen moms, and then it turned into this huge outreach that she started. But to hear that at such a young age through something that you weren't even looking for, you didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to go get into banking. I'm going to go work for a bank." As a teenager, I get it. You want to be cute and buy cute clothes and work somewhere fun. But
Right.
look at God, how God had positioned you. I want to show everybody this. Go back this way, guys. I got my kids in the room, y'all. Y'all know how I do. But I want to show everybody this on the screen. Hey, hey, now they're fighting over candy. Let go. This is the real mom life, y'all.
Right.
This is the real mom life. Like
Uncut, raw, mommy life at its best.
look, this is the real mom life. We do what we do. Here, babe. I have to resolve fights, okay?
Right.
And that's what we're doing now is we're problem solving for community. Stop. He's a baby. You got candy in your hand. All right, y'all. This is what happens when my husband works early in the morning and I'm interviewing. But we're gonna make it happen. This is a real life. So we're boss moms. So here you have, if you look on this screen, you're gonna see some stats. And I know this might be blah blah blah, boring, it seems like, but just hold on for a second and pay attention. This is part of why I believe that we deal with so much financial illiteracy is because it's like, oh, that's boring. I don't want to hear that, blah,
Yes.
blah, blah. And then the people that are willing to listen, they learn this information. Give me a second, y'all.
You're fine.
Let me show y'all how to problem solve. I'm going to hold
Right.
the candy cane holder. One of y'all get this candy. The other one gets this candy. Boom. We counting numbers. You got 4. Here. Candy. Thank you. Appreciate that, guys. I appreciate your compliance. Okay. So we have key insights on this screen. This is taken from a website, tiainstitute.org, and it's about the well-being of the African American communities with their financial well-being. And as I was looking at this, I was so not surprised because our stats are kind of low in every area, But when I saw our understanding of finances and the lack thereof, it really saddened me, and it made me say, this is so important to have someone like Alexis here with us sharing on this, and to reach out to her if you need help. So on average, African Americans answered 38 of the PFIN index questions correctly. Only 28% of us could correctly answer over half the questions. Financial literacy within the African American community is greater among men, older individuals, those with more formal education. Stop, babe. Those with more formal education, and those with higher incomes. Insuring is the least understood area of personal finance among African Americans. So, understanding insurance, followed closely by comprehending risk, investing, and identifying go-to information and sources. So we're not keen. We don't understand investments, right? And you talked about that even in your childhood. You're looking around and everybody has these cool clothes and they're
Right.
buying cool things. And I was talking to my husband about that recently. He said he believes that what happened, why we started renting instead of buying, and we started buying cars instead of buying like house purchases and investments, is because of racial discrepancies, because we weren't given the same opportunity with like lending or banking
Right.
opportunity. We couldn't bank at certain places. We couldn't purchase homes. We couldn't get house loans. So we started buying stuff. I was like, wow, this is so deep when he shared this with me. He said we started buying stuff and taking care of it really well because that's all we could do at
Man,
that
I'm writing that
time.
down now.
Yeah, that's all we could do was buy stuff, and it gave us some level of dignity that at least I can take care of this Cadillac. Like I can't get
Mm-hmm.
anyone to give me a house loan, but I
Mm-hmm.
can take care of this nice coat I got on. I can take care of these shoes. You remember old black men that used to shine their shoes
Mm-hmm.
and really, really take care of their shoes. They would take care of their hair, the way they looked.
Yep.
They would wear suits, or they would take care of their vehicle or even their yard. Whatever they had, we have always been the kind of people to take care of what we
Mm-hmm.
have. If you go to the Caribbean islands, we will sweep some dirt. If all we got some dirt, black people gonna sweep that dirt and get it as
Mm-hmm.
nice looking as possible. I've seen it with my own eyes in Africa as well.
Mm-hmm.
But so some of this didn't start with us just
Right.
being irresponsible. It started with racism. It started with inequity, and started with us not having the opportunity. But we didn't shift. When we did get the opportunity, there
Whew.
weren't enough people there like you to step in and say, this is how, brother, that you get a loan. This is how you start to build your credit or whatever. This is how you get investments and start shifting your money over to other areas that we would have originally. So that's just some of that history. There's a great book about it. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll get that to everybody after this is over, on the house and lending industry and all the racial
Right.
discrimination that's happened. But I want to stop talking in a second here. I just wanted to show you all, this is where we're at. Borrowing and debt management is the area of highest personal financial knowledge among African Americans. If you could imagine it, how do I borrow? Hey, how do I take out a loan? And how do I manage my debt? Well, that's
Right.
not
Mm.
health, right? That's not wealth. That is maintaining and trying to make it another day. So we wanted today talk about how do we move from I'm trying to borrow, I am trying to handle all this debt I have, to I'm actually beyond being in debt. And now I'm creating wealth that goes even beyond me. When I die, my whole family's not scrambling saying, oh my goodness, how do I pay for this funeral? And oh
Right.
my goodness, what do we do with all this debt? But they're actually positioned to now build on what we have
Right.
built. So we want to break that generationally. And then the last quote I wanted to share here is, a lack of financial resilience was more common among African Americans than whites in 2019, before the COVID-19 pandemic and its economic consequences. So now imagine where we're at now
Right.
after all of that has occurred. Okay, so that's my input. I am not a financial guru by any means, but I do understand the concepts of being the head and not the tail of lending
Right.
and starting businesses. I've seen that all my life, and so that's what we want to encourage. I'm going to turn this over to Alexis because y'all want to hear my kids in the background anyway, and she's going to share some more insight into how to build wealth. Let's go upstream now.
Yes, ma'am. So I appreciate that. I'm definitely taking notes as you have me on here as an expert. I'm still taking notes because we all can be students of our craft. That's the only way we get better. And like I said, this is something I really have a passion for. So one of the biggest things you said was be the head, not the tail. And I know that in the Bible. And he promised us that, right? I have a speaker in our company and he said he goes out with $20 bills and $5 bills because he knows that God told him that whatever you give to others, I'm going to be your debtor. I'm going to be the one that has to pay you back. So every time he gives out money, he makes a promise to God, hey, God, I need this to happen in my business. Hey, God, I need this to happen in my life. And he says, God always delivers. See, isn't that amazing to me, Miss Jade, that all this time when we're giving things to other people, we're badgering them to give us it back. Whole time God told us, no matter what you give away, I will give it back to you tenfold as long as you're doing my will. And see, that right there freed me. It just freed me, Miss J, because I'm like, okay, here I am trying to hold on tight to things. Once again, like you said, our community is big on things. So I'm trying to hold on to things, and here God is saying, give it all away because I'm going to multiply your blessings. So just talking about wealth and insurance, how your article said that insuring and understanding risk is one of the areas that African Americans lack. And the reason why is because there's a lot of companies out there that were built on the backs of our people that are still out here today. I need everyone to do their research on these companies that made their money from slaves. And now they're still showing commercials about life insurance and life protection. See, these are the companies that have finessed our families for years. And when I say finessed, life insurance, that's something that we don't understand, but there are companies out there that offer life insurance with a debt attached to it. Okay. And that debt is called cash value. A lot of the companies make it sound good. They wrap it in a nice bow. They make it tight, but we know what cash is. But what is cash value? These people are borrowing their own money. So if you've ever heard somebody, oh, I can borrow from my policy, I can pull money from my policy, that's great. But when you die, that money comes from your death benefit. Or when you borrow the money, you have to pay it back plus interest. See, now where they're giving you 1 to 2 to 3% interest, they're going to charge you 6 to 8%. So it's still just getting a loan from the bank. They made it into a different product. But see, life insurance was never meant to be a debt. It was supposed to be something you give to your families. See, a lot of us don't understand why certain people, they're 18 years old, their family goes and buy them a yacht. Their family goes and buys them a whole art studio and they haven't even graduated college. That's because a great grandfather somewhere had a life insurance policy, and that money continues to double and double and double. So now investments are great. They're great, but investments take time. Life insurance is the cheapest money you can buy that's instant. It's so many situations in our company, Miss J, where people have bought a policy one day and died the next. You put in $50 for a $100,000 policy, and tomorrow you die. Your only investment was $50, right? But your family got $100,000. Just recently, because our company is very COVID conscious. Every time they see a death claim about COVID, they make sure it's paid out 100% and as soon as possible within 10 days. But now it was a young man in our office. He's 32 years old. He has a 6-year-old daughter, and his wife and him signed up for life insurance, did the responsible thing to sign up for life insurance last month. His wife unfortunately passed away. Okay. His wife passed away, and here he is, a single man, still young, still vibrant, still has things that he wants to do, but now he has to raise his 6-year-old daughter alone. And it was her birthday yesterday. She came into the office with him to get that $150,000 check. Do you know what those type of things can do for somebody at 6 years old? If he saves that money will double and triple by the age of 18. She'll have more money than she knows what to do with, which is good. Some people say, oh, this money burned a hole in my pocket, because we literally don't know what to do with it, Miss J. But when we put it away in the right type of investments, not just insurance as an investment, but actually investments, They actually grow our money. So this type of information wasn't known to our community. So when I first started in my company and I was in training, Miss Jade, I had a friend. She was around my same age, so we kind of linked together like, okay, we're gonna help each other. But she grew up north of Atlanta.
Okay.
I grew up south of Atlanta. So while
Right.
we're going through the training process, she's like, oh, why are people taking notes on this? I already know this information. Y'all don't know this information. And I'm like, no, I've never heard of it before, but how do you know? She said, oh, I had a mandatory life insurance class in 10th grade and a mandatory credit class in 11th grade. We've
Wow.
known this stuff for forever. She said even in middle school they mentioned it, but it was a mandatory class in high school. Now, Miss Jade, I didn't have that class in high school. Neither one. And then that's when I saw this is systematic. Not only do they want to keep certain areas out of the finance, they are telling other communities, hey, move here because these schools are better. Hey, move here. When people say that, they're serious because that information that they give is 10 times better and it prepares them for what's ahead. So, Miss Jade, if you could, can you share that first picture that I sent to you? And the main thing, this is one of the most important rules that I ever learned in my whole finance journey, Miss Jade. So here I am working for one of the biggest banks in the world, and I was a banker in training. But if you look up the rule of 72, it says the banker's rule. Tell me why I did not know this rule, and nobody I worked with knew this rule either. But we're working for the biggest bank in the world. How did they miss this on their training? No, Miss J, they didn't miss it. They just didn't want to tell us that because if they told us, we wouldn't be able to sell their products. Okay? So the rule of 72 says divide your interest rate by 72. It tells you how long it takes your money to double. Okay? So let's just say during the COVID situation, you know, Biden was giving out those checks, right? So let's say everybody, Miss J, you, me, all of our friends, we put our 2,000 into an investment account, right? 72 divided by 3 is 24 years. So even if we got 3%, which you know the banks aren't giving it off, if we did get a 3% rate of return, it'll only be $4,000 in 24 years. Miss Jade, in 24 years, what is 4,000 going to do for you? Probably not much. Plus inflation is really not much. So that's where our community says, oh, what am I investing for? I might as well buy on things. But see, we have to get the right vehicle to move our money. In high school, I had my grandma's Honda Accord 95, right? And I loved that car. I loved it. And my friend had a Mustang, a 2012 Mustang. Brand new car, brand new year, and it's a muscle car. Every day after school, she asked me to race. I said, I'm not doing that. But I knew that she was going to win because her engine is better. It didn't have to do with how much gas I put in, how fast I stepped on the pedal. Her engine and her machine was better. That vehicle was better than mine. So when we look at investments, it's the same thing. We go to the bank where they're giving us 1%. 72 divided by 1 means that our investment won't double for 72 years. That's somebody's whole lifetime.
Right.
Do you think the people that made the bank know that rule of 72? Yes, they do. That's how they were able to pay me a salary and all of my counterparts' salaries because they were taking money from people. Okay. Wow. So when we think about the legal crimes and the blue collar crimes, that when I found out this rule, I was so upset because here I am, I'm selling these things to my family members, my friends, my communities, my uncles, my aunties, and here this new company is telling me that all of that was a mistake. I didn't know what to do, right? I was so upset, so hurt, but I realized, okay, the only way you get through this is you just have to tell everyone the knowledge you know. So at 1%, banks are giving us less than 1%. The bank I was working for was giving 0.0005. So if you want to put that in the calculator, you can, but that's no one's lifetime. But see, at 12%, our money doubles every 6 years. So just because somebody has the money doesn't mean they have the knowledge to make their things grow, make the money grow.
Right. And that's what we're talking about today, right? Is that growth. Yep.
Yes, the growth of it. So some people, they say, well, you know, that information is great, but I've been in my bank for a long time, or my auntie has this bank. So they end up staying in that same 1 to 3% rate, which is fine. But if you go back to the picture, you see that person that invested with 3% in 48 years, their money was only $8,000. But versus that person who had a 12% account, their money is $512,000 from the same $2,000 investment. They both had the same money, the same exact money, Miss Jade, and that really freed me. I said, wow, Black people can make money. Every
Right.
race can make money. Every race can make money. It's just we have to
Right.
have the right knowledge and the right vehicles. And if you could go to the next slide for me. So this next slide, this shows an inheritance. So like I said, that young girl, she's 6 years old. Her husband's 32. He got $150,000. Okay.
Right.
Let's say he put that 100,000 away for her at a 1% rate, which is higher than a lot of banks, right? He put that in a savings account at a 1% rate. In 10 years, she'll be 16 years old. It'll be 110,000. Now some people might say, "Oh my God, that's amazing," right? Because they don't know the options. If we look at this circle at the bottom, I love these little circles because they really break it down to you. Okay. So 0%, you didn't contribute anything, but your
Right.
interest, the interest is the thank you that the bank gives you for banking with them.
For banking with them. Right.
The interest, they only paid you 10% over 10 years. So 1% a year. And that was their thank you. See, the things is people say, well, that's good. That's still okay. They gave me something. No, because the banks, they're taking our money and they're getting 12 to 20% back on the open market. They're buying Nike stock. They're buying Apple stock. They're buying Walmart stock, making the good money, making the good investment, and throwing us pennies and peanuts to keep us happy. Okay. So now let's go to the next picture. So versus having a 1% interest rate versus a 9% interest rate. Okay. So our company's bare minimum number is 9%. A lot of news stations or financial episodes, they try to tell people, oh, well, don't invest unless you're ready to lose, or, it's a risk. No. Your worst day at an investment will still be your best day at the bank. Okay.
Wow.
Your best day at the bank. The Great Depression, Miss Jade, the economy stock market was still doing 9% in the Great Depression.
But they don't tell you that. That's amazing.
No. So here they are giving us 1%, less than what people in the Great Depression were getting off their money. And they're telling us, oh, we're gonna keep it. It's safe with us, right? No, it's not. Because even if you got 9% on your worst day, 110,000 versus $245,000 off the same money, same time. But you see down here, 59% of it was interest. $145,000 came from the market, from what the market gave them. So that's their thank you. I always tell people, look at this circle. If the interest is less than 50%, that means that bank is using you. You're supposed to be using that bank as a tool. But if the interest is less than 50%, and most banks is gonna be 20%, or like we just saw, 10%, they're using you. They need you more than you need them. Okay. And if you can go to the next slide for me as well. So some people say, well, if I got 150,000, I wouldn't invest all of that. That's great. Even if you took a third of it, 50,000 at 9%, bare minimum numbers. We're not talking about the 12% interest rate that the market has been doing over the last 10 years. We're not talking about that. We're talking about bare minimum numbers, meaning if America crashed right now, you would still be making 9%. That's 122,000. Imagine a 16-year-old that knows she has $122,000 to inherit. She's going to go harder at school. She's going to show her dad that she wants to do better things with her life. That's a motivational factor right there to know when I graduate, I can do whatever I want to do. No limitations on my money. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we have to understand is the future is bright. Life insurance is one of the cheapest things you can buy as far as multiplying your money. We insure our cars. We insure our houses. Some people insure their dogs. Smart decisions, but they insure their dogs. But when it comes to life insurance, we don't do that. Now, I had a couple, they said, well, it's mandatory to do house and home insurance. I said, you're right. I guess the only people that get life insurance are the ones that care about their families. Right? Because we buy that car because we love it. Like you said, we take care of our car. We make sure that, oh no, can't nobody hit my car. But we forget the people that are in our lives, our children, our husband. If something were to change with them, we will still need that income to come in. And life insurance is nothing but income protection. It's to protect the income. So if Miss J, you and your husband are making 100,000 right now, but he was out of the picture, not even like, let's not even say death. Let's say if something happened where he was disabled, just can't work the job the same.
Right.
What happens then? Your bills don't change. Your kids don't stop growing up. But see, there are certain plans in place and certain riders when people get disabled, you can still get life insurance money. You can still get money. When people have terminal illness, you can still get life insurance money. But people are so and when I say people, me included, Miss J, we're undereducated on what it really is.
Right.
Okay, because these other companies are the ones that come into our communities and getting those big paychecks, but not delivering on their promises. Right now, Gerber Life Insurance is going through a $2 billion lawsuit.
Ooh.
$2 billion. Because the grow up plan, you know, the grow, everybody's heard
I've seen that everywhere. Yeah.
for your kid, it doubles at 18. That's amazing, right?
Right.
So the language barrier is so different. When I did get my license, I learned, oh, this is all tomfoolery. They're just trying to trick us. All the language means something completely different. It's all English, but Gerber's getting sued because their grow up plan promised that age 18, it doubles and your child can use this at maturity. They can pull out the money at maturity.
Right.
So, Miss J, what age do you feel is maturity? What age might that be?
Oh, that's a trick question. But for me, your brain doesn't fully develop till you're 25. But 18 is technically in the United States, at least, where people consider you an adult.
Right. So about 18 to 25, that should mean maturity. Well, in insurance, the word maturity means age 100.
Wow.
So do you see how many people's families, grandparents, great grandparents were probably paying into a product thinking they were giving their family a great inheritance because they were trying to do the right thing.
Right.
But how many people have you even known to make it to age 100?
100, right. And this is in what, the fine print somewhere?
Well, no, it's on the website. If you go to the website, they say at maturity you get it. But if you look up,
I'm saying, do they describe what maturity is, or they just say, "Oh, at maturity"?
At maturity. Now, when you actually buy the policy, they give you policy papers about this thick.
And that, right, that's what I'm saying. In the fine print somewhere, they have defined. They had some lawyer define what maturity is, but you didn't take the time to read it because they're figuring no one's gonna read this,
right? Or no one's gonna try to fool me, but they do.
Right.
It's a money game. So when I learned that, it's so crazy because that was 2 years ago. Miss Jade, they send out more advertisements now.
Yes, they do. I see them all the time in the mail. The little flyers they send out. Yeah.
It's crazy. And now they have another company called Globe Life, which is like a partner company of them, but it's stemmed off with a different name. So people don't even know that they're still connected to the same brand. It's like Burger King and McDonald's. Right?
Right. And there's a lot of restaurants like that too, where you think they're separate, but they're really all one conglomerate, you know. Yeah.
Right. So they're all playing on our minds. And when I saw all of these things, I said it has to be more to find out. And these are things our community, this is why our community doesn't trust insurance. Let's be real. Right. They don't trust it because they never gave us the knowledge. But I know you probably heard about this. But 2021 was supposed to be the year the shackles were taken off of our community. And I really believe that. I feel like it was through information, though. God said, hey, look, all the information is out there now. It's up to you to excel. In our community, I will say, now, we aren't the best. And, of course, what happened in the past, we can't change that. But ever since then, 2021, we have been growing. I've been seeing more people trying to get the knowledge. This webcam, I know it's going to be people that watch this that are blessed by this. And I'm just so excited for our community knowing the rules of the game so we can really play, you know?
Right. That's awesome. I love the story you told about how here you are from the South Side and there's this girl from the North Side of Atlanta. If you're from Atlanta, you know that it's different, right? You're up in Marietta, Kennesaw, Johns Creek, Alpharetta. These are very affluent areas in the North Side of Atlanta. Then you come down in the West End and Big Kid and all those areas, and you're going to see two completely different scenes. But two girls at the time, probably with the same information, can do the same thing. So sometimes we think, oh man, it must be that we're just behind or we're just backwards or something's wrong with us. No, it's just knowledge, right? It's knowledge and education that will prepare you and get you where you need to go. Not just you, but your children and your children's children, those behind you. And I also love what you said about how others, they're starting at a whole different place on the field because their great grandmother, great grandfather had established wealth. So imagine what you could do with this chart. Like, imagine if you start now with your child and you're bringing them up to that ending balance of 122,568 by the time that they're at that mature age. And then they have learned that what you're giving them is not just money, you're giving them the knowledge, you're empowering them, like that girl that you said from the north side. She's like, oh, I already took this class. Well, we don't
Right.
have the classes in all of our communities. So we want to make sure that we have webinars, we have events, sessions like this online and in person that help infuse our communities with the information that others just hear sitting around the dinner table, others just hear when they go to school, others just
Right.
take. I remember seeing, this was a long time ago, it's probably in college or something, maybe high school even, so this was years ago, I won't even say how long, but I remember sitting at a bank and I saw an Asian family. I'm not sure exactly where they were from, but they looked like they could have been Chinese. I'm not sure. And I remember seeing the little girl, and the dad pulls up. You know how you could pull up to the teller and you have the little audio box right
Mm-hmm.
next to you. And she takes out the card. This little maybe 7-year-old hands it to the teller. She does a whole transaction from the back window. And
Wow.
he's teaching his daughter how to bank. He's teaching her how to, at that time, balance your checkbook. He's teaching her how to interact, with her finances and build her finances. And I would not doubt if she had her own account, that she knew exactly how much money she had. She knew how to grow her money by the time she was 10. So these are things that it doesn't matter where you came from. It's about where we're going.
Right.
My husband and I have invested in things. We have an investment right now that, whoa, if you really knew what it was, it is coming through for us right now. And it does take time. It took us maybe 4 years to get, maybe 3 or 4 years to get this investment moving. And it's a mentality, because when we've come to our friends and other people, they're like, oh, well, I don't know about that. Is this a scam? Like, we think everything's a scam. We're in such a victimized mentality. Starting businesses, the same thing. Oh, it's got to be a scam. Not everything is a scam. There are scams out there, but not everything is a scam. And we're seeing the seeds that we planted start to really, really grow now in this season. So I'm very excited. And the same thing with life insurance. We have life insurance. We've made sure that we're insuring our family, because we're pastors. We see people die and have to do funerals, and we know that you can't just live your life as if you're going to be here forever, and just trying to make it each day. So I really appreciate what you shared with us today. As you can tell, I'm a proponent for it. I believe that we should do everything we can to set up. The Bible says you should pass on wealth to your children and your children's children. So I'm on a mission. I have multiple streams of income coming in. This is the last thing I'll say. Is the other day I sat down with my husband. We were doing our budget, and someone said, "How are y'all living?" We never have lived the traditional way, Alexis. My husband had a traditional job for 1 year, and he did amazing while he was there. His boss was actually crying when he left. Everyone loved him because he's a great leader. He has great leadership skills. But we looked at our budget, and I said, how have we been living? Because we never have kind of brought into the system. Not that there's anything wrong with working for someone else, but we've just always been very entrepreneurial. And we started looking at it, and it's like, oh, we're doing consulting here, and someone else paid us to work with them here, and then we got a gig here.
Yeah.
And we have always had all these different, and we started counting. It's like we had over 10 streams of income. Here, where we have finances come in all these different ways, and then you have insurance, and after a while it adds up. So don't let anybody tell you that it has to be one way, right? And this is your 401k and your job, and that's it. You try different things, be a little adventurous, step out by faith. The Bible talks about planting seeds. If you plant the seed, then when you come back later on, it will grow. You'll look back and see that it will grow if you're investing in the right soil. So that's my spiritual side kicking in there. Really, she's teaching us these principles that Jesus taught as well. Find good soil, put your seed into the good soil, not somewhere where you won't see investment. In the Bible, even, there was a man that his master had told him go plant seed in the ground, right? Y'all know that story. And one of them, the one that had a little bit, he was like, I'm not planting this seed. Like you're not even coming back soon. When he came back, the one that had 10 from the north side, he had increased and multiplied what he had, right? And so God wants us to get this principle down. The one that had little, because he had a scarcity mentality, he didn't do anything with it. He did what you say, just threw it in the bank. He just said, oh, I don't need much interest. I'll just let this sit here. It'll be enough. That'll be good enough. So we don't want to have it will be good enough attitude. We want to have an attitude that says, how can I multiply this? My husband also says it this way, moving from the mentality of, I don't know how I'm going to do this, to how can I do this? Where there's a will, there's a way. There's always a way forward. If one thing's not working, put it down and be creative. Try. A lot of people that have wealth, they've tried over and over again for years before they found the right investment that worked for them. And it's not always that it's something you're passionate about. It's money, right? It's about making money. You don't have to always be super passionate about it. Some of it's about practicality. So here on the bottom of the screen, we have Alexis contact information. On Instagram, it's ALS Financial, and on Facebook, it's Alexis Jackson. You can find her there. Alexis, can you end us out here with what services you could provide for people?
Yes, ma'am. Definitely. So, really inheritance planning. We do a whole plan. We do insurance and the investments because both are important. Like you
That's
said, two
awesome.
different type of investments. We just started auto, home, life, and Medicare as well. So those are just other supplemental things we can help people have better rates on. But I'm very,
Right.
very, very passionate about the investments and the
Yeah.
insurance.
Okay, great. So if you do not have insurance, contact Alexis today. Set up a meeting, an appointment with her so you can find out more information on that. And if you're looking for inheritance planning and you want to start early. Really, if you're watching this and you're in your 20s, you are in such a great position to
Yes.
begin investing and building increase for you. Even if you're thinking, I don't have kids yet, do it now. Here I am at almost 40 years old. I'll be 40 this year. Telling
What?
you, don't wait. Yeah, I don't look that old. I'm telling you, do not wait. Don't wait until you're older and you in your late 30s, and because time goes like this. In 10 years, I'll be 50. Can you believe that? So just make sure that you find ways to be smart with your money in 2022. Where one of my commitments this year is that I'm investing and I'm bringing in more income than I am thinking about what I want to buy and get. Delayed gratification. Okay. All right. We love y'all. This is the time. I'm not trying to scare nobody, but we're in the middle of a pandemic. We all have learned the value of life during this time. I don't care where you're from, what you believe. We've all learned that life is short. We want to make sure that we're in position to love our family even beyond our short days here on this earth. We love y'all, and we will be keeping in touch with Alexis, maybe bringing her on in the future to answer more questions or to share more information about investments and about insurance. Thank you again, Alexis. It's been great having you here with us.
Thank you so much, Miss Jade.
All right. Well, we'll see you all tomorrow morning for our last day of the Waiting Woman Fast. It will be at 6 a.m. Or if you're watching this after the last day, we want to thank you for joining us during these 21 days. And we pray that you will have an amazing year, that this will be one of the best years ever in your life. Continue to wait on God as you wait as a servant of God wherever God places you in 2022.